This episode is brought to you by the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. Learn more at slashandcast.net.
Hello, you. Yes, you. The one I'm looking at right now. You like scary movies? Well, if you do, you're in the right place. You've joined the Dead in Santa Carla podcast with Brian and Andy. Shouldn't that be undead in Santa Carla? Well, Brian and Andy are just a couple lost boys, aren't they? Or they will be when I'm through. Enjoy the show while you can.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Dead in Santa Carla, part of the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. I'm Brian.
And I am Andy. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, nothing, buddy. Just wrapping up. Well, not wrapping up, kind of in the middle of the weekend because we're recording this on a Saturday, right? Today's Saturday, right? Saturday.
No, today would definitely be Friday. But...
Today's Friday. Holy shit. That's what happens when you're off a week and you're not prepared. I don't even know what day it is anymore, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nuts. So it's Friday. Oh, cool. So we're kicking off our weekend then. Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. Yes.
Not that I have much planned. You got anything planned this weekend?
No, not really. No.
Well, that's okay too.
No, just working on. I've been busy, man, with the podcast, this podcast, and so I'm sure you and I will record again on this upcoming Monday.
Yeah.
And so I'll be working on that, and then Brown's podcast stuff. Yeah, I'm busy, man.
You are busy.
Yeah.
And that Browns podcast is doing really good for you. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It's good stuff too. It's really good. It's good. I've got the last 2 episodes to catch up on still.
Right on.
Yeah, I like it. I do.
Yeah,
it's funny because I'm not even a Browns fan, but I'm still entertained by
Thanks,
the
buddy.
podcast. It's good shit.
Thanks, buddy.
We're getting ready to talk about a movie.
Yes.
And it's would you say this is polarizing? Or would you just say that this is pretty much just kind of a miss? You know, that because I've only met a couple of people that do enjoy this film.
Yeah, no, and look, like I'm glad there's a small amount of people because I think it is small. I think it is.
Yeah.
But I am glad there are some people who enjoy this movie because I think all art deserves to be appreciated in one way or another. So, I mean, you know, I'm glad. But yeah, this movie is a big miss for me. It's just they tried to do a lot of things with this that just don't work for me. And and honestly, I think for a lot of horror and nightmare fans, it doesn't work. It doesn't function like, you know, that's why, you know, making remakes are hard. Making movies, period, are hard. It's a very, very tough thing to do. And it's even more tough to make a good movie.
Yeah.
That's why remakes are always so tricky because one hand, you know, you might do too many things from the original, recreate scenes, recreate characters, recreate all types of stuff. And then someone will go, well, you just made the same movie over again. Or if you take, you know, kind of distance yourself too much of it from the original material, if you distance yourself too much from it, then you got people going, well, it's nothing like the original. There's nothing, you know, so it's like,
right.
You kind of gotta find that middle sweet spot with the best of both worlds, kind of like Dawn of the Dead does that we covered last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's why Dawn of the Dead works, the 2004 remake. That's why it works, because they found that sweet spot. I'm not against remakes. If you
of course not. I don't. Yeah, I mean, we've just praised the shit out of the Dawn of the Dead one. So yeah. I mean, The Fly. There's some great ones. The Thing. Yeah.
So I'm not against it, but I feel during this era where this Nightmare on Elm Street installment came out, this kind of Platinum Dunes doing a lot of, because the year before this they came out with the Friday remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it. And
I think they're responsible for the Amityville one. I know they're responsible for the Chainsaw one as well.
Yeah, the Chainsaw one. Yeah.
And I think they did the Amityville remake as well. But yeah, they did that's pretty much all they did essentially. Was horror remakes.
That's what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, and all these were commercial successes. Everyone,
even this one. This made good money.
Financial successes, I should say, not commercial. Financial successes, but that's why I feel like they made the tech. I think Chainsaw was the first.
Chainsaw kicked off the party,
and it's pretty good. I actually kind of enjoy it.
Good. Yeah,
I enjoy it.
It's above average.
I like it better than the Friday, and then the Friday reboot, and then this installment.
Same.
But I feel like once Chainsaw made some money, Friday made some money, they were like, okay, we got to do all these now.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously I'm speculating. I don't know, but it almost feels like that was the only driving force.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows in the material of this film that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. Well, before we get too deep into it, we want to throw out our regular spiel. Thank you guys so much for all the support and all the listens. You guys have been killing it. You guys are awesome. We hope you enjoyed our discussion of Dawn of the Dead. If you do feel like supporting and helping out the podcast, we are very much a listener supported podcast. You can head over to Patreon and join one of the two tiers. The $5 tier, David's Chinese Takeout, will get you a bonus episode that we record every month. It's usually something that Andy and I don't typically talk about on the podcast, but it could be something related to it.
Yeah.
We're still deciding on that no retreat, no surrender episode. That's coming. I'm telling you.
I love it.
You could also head over to our TeePublic store, which is where we moved our merch over from Design by Humans. We moved it to TeePublic. They have sales all the time. We just finished a new design that we're going to be putting up there pretty soon. We think you guys are really going to like it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It was a great idea by Andy. Andy had a great idea for a t-shirt. And
you did a great job designing.
Thank you. I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be putting that up pretty soon. So yeah, you can head over there, snag yourself a shirt, snag a coffee mug, snap a COVID mask, and every little bit helps to go bring
Absolutely.
you guys this podcast, whether it be through paying for Zoom or whatever might come our way.
Yeah.
With all of that awesome stuff being said, you got anything you want to add before we get into this discussion, buddy?
We got a couple episodes coming up. For a normal Monday episode, next Monday we'll be talking about the Amityville horror remake, because it's Revenge of the Remake month here on Dead in Santa Carla. So I'm looking forward to that. It's been a while since I've seen it, and I'm kind of excited to revisit that film. And then also this Wednesday we're dropping a kind of a different episode. It's a topic discussion where we were joined by our friend Melissa Hannon, the owner and chief of staff, but editor-in-chief of Horror Geek Life, the horror and gaming publication. She's awesome.
That was a lot of fun. That was a good talk.
She's better known as Horror Geek Mel, and love her to death. And that was a fun talk. We actually already recorded that yesterday. That'll be coming this Wednesday. We're going to be it's a little different. It's a topic discussion. It's about gatekeeping in horror.
Yeah.
And be on the lookout for that. It was a very good talk. Very good talk. We even talked about some stuff that you and I had never even mentioned on the podcast before. Yeah. Because you and I, at the end of the day, some stuff we just, we feel it's better just not to talk about. But I felt it was important to have that conversation about gatekeeping horror and how it affects fans in the genre and how it affects content creators in the genre. like us. And I thought it was a good topic, and I thought it went well.
It did. I think it went really well. It was a good talk.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that. They'll be coming out just a couple of days after this drops.
Sure.
So, all right. With all that, let's go ahead and get into this discussion of A Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake.
I'm having these dreams. And there's this man. And he's burned.
Don't fall asleep.
Never sleep again.
You have nothing to worry about. This won't hurt one little bit.
All right, buddy. We are talking about Samuel Bayer's Nightmare on Elm Street, not Wes Craven's, from 2010. And the Platinum Dunes Michael Bay production.
Yes.
And starring Jackie Earle Haley as
great
Freddy
actor.
Krueger. Great actor. Great,
outstanding.
Great actor.
Oscar-nominated actor, been doing it for a long time.
Since the fucking Bad News Bears. He was a wee one. Yeah.
I know. No, he's great. Always has been.
There's some other people in this movie that I do enjoy. I like Rooney Mara. I think she's fantastic.
Cast is
I like
great.
Kyle Gallner.
Mm-hmm.
I like Katie Cassidy. I watched a lot of Arrow, like the first probably 4 seasons of Arrow, and then I just kind of you get busy with life and shit. On paper, doesn't look like it's going to be too bad.
No, the cast is great.
Yeah,
and you know this. Sam, you mentioned Samuel Bayer.
Mm-hmm.
This was his, I believe, his film directorial debut, and I'm actually pretty certain he hasn't directed a feature film since. He is one of the most renowned music video and commercial directors in the business. He truly is. I mean, he has directed music videos going all the way back to 1991.
Jesus.
His first one was Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit. That was his first.
Wow.
Then we would
that
go
is
on to,
one of the greatest music videos
truly
I think ever filmed.
Truly. And that was his first credit. And the Ramones, Ozzy Osbourne, Pat Benatar,
I'm looking at it's ridiculous.
David Bowie,
Blink 182, lots of Green Day,
Marilyn Manson, Rolling Stones, Metallica, Lenny Kravitz, Blink 182. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on.
Good Lord,
He got over 90 credits in music videos, and he also, on a lot of those, was a cinematographer on them too. So the dude's talented, extremely.
Yeah,
I kind of feel bad for the dude a little bit, in the sense that this was his, feature film debut. It was a big opportunity for him. It was, it did well at the box office.
Yeah, it's made like over $100 million, 113, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it did well.
115. Yeah.
However, critics and a lot of fans alike were not fans of this movie. I mean, we're not. I wasn't at the time, and this is a big opportunity for him, and it it just didn't work out for whatever reason. At least for me, and I think for a lot of people, it just didn't work. Maybe he doesn't have any interest in directing any more movies.
Yeah, it's a shame because you nailed it. This is his only film credit. Like it's his only movie credit, and that sucks.
Yeah, it's a shame because he is, like I said, he's a legend when it comes to music videos and stuff like that. Commercials, the commercial credits won't even pop up on IMDb, but it's extensive how many commercials he's directed. So I mean, yeah, I feel bad because nobody sets out to make a subpar film, you
No,
know?
Of course not.
But
no.
unfortunately, sometimes it happens. Different reasons. Like I can't even truly pinpoint what happened here with this one. One thing that does bother me that is just kind of fucking arrogant is none of the writers, none of the producers, no one involved in this film consulted with Wes Craven.
Yep. Yeah, read about that.
What, like, on what planet do you think you can pursue a project with like this?
Yeah.
And you're going to have the balls and the gall to remake a classic horror film like the original Nightmare on Elm Street and not consult with the creator.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me?
It feels egotistical. So
It does.
That's my only explanation is it does. It feels super egotistical. I want to say that they said, we don't want to make his movie. We want to make our movie. That's what I want to say. But even when you say that, that's fucking egotistical. Don't you think? I mean,
a little bit. Well, I mean, look, I have no problem with them wanting to make it their own. If that was the reasoning, like, you know, we just kind of want to do our own thing. Well, you kind of didn't, because there's a lot of they recreate so many original scenes and shots from the first film.
Yes, they use some of the best shots in the original film.
Yes,
they some of the and you nailed it. Iconic cinematography.
Yes,
being completely replicated.
Yes. I know.
They didn't want to make their own movie.
No,
it doesn't. It doesn't feel like it when you watch it.
That's why when I watch this movie, this isn't like some revelation of mine. I've thought this ever since the movie was released. Every time I sit down and watch this movie, and it's not much, I'm not going to lie. And you know me, I'm a huge Nightmare fan. The original is my favorite horror movie of all time.
Yeah.
So, but I never watched this movie because it just feels like a cash cow.
Yeah.
They just made this to make money, and I get it. I get that. It's a business, man. And fans were clamoring for a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie. There's no doubt. They knew the market was there. But I feel like this only got made and probably rushed to get made because of the success of Texas Chainsaw remake and the Friday remake.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Definitely. I mean, this literally came out a year after F13.
Yeah.
So that tells me that once F13 made good money, because I think F13, if memory serves me correctly, it opened very well.
It did.
So I imagine that right when this opened and or F13 opened and they saw that money, they were like, get it going.
And it's possible they had the plan even before
probably
Friday, you know, like they had it mapped out. I don't know. I didn't really find that, research that, but at the end of the day, this does not, for me, capture the essence of the original franchise that made it so good. Like here's one prime example. Something that was super iconic throughout a lot of the franchise, super iconic, and it was almost like it's a character in all those films. That's the house.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't even feel like that house exists in this movie.
It doesn't. It gets one outside shot and it feels
it's not even a good one.
Yeah, it feels like just a stock photo, like that they just kind of had, you know, and because it doesn't get like in pretty much every one of them, you get a dope ass opening shot, you know, and it's
a tracking shot.
Yeah, the house is
shot,
displayed.
a pulling away shot, something. So, like, that's one big complaint that I have with this movie that I think works against its benefit. And not to mention, I don't know, man. I know it's 2010 and visual effects are always going to be a thing. But man, there is a lot of bad CGI.
There's so much bad CGI.
It's a shame.
They took one of the greatest sequences in the first movie and butchered it with horrible CGI.
Oh, when he comes through the wall.
Oh yes.
Oh,
that's awful. It's awful.
It doesn't look good. I don't think it looks good.
It looks terrible. I don't think anybody can defend that shot.
No,
That's right up there with Jaws coming at the screen. That's
yeah.
that's right there with Jaws 3D. It's fucking horrible. Looks terrible.
It does not look good,
And it doesn't have the impact either.
No.
Not even close to the same impact.
No.
So
Yeah,
it was bad. That was just a bad choice.
Yeah, we're not alone here too. It's rocking a 5.2 on IMDb, 5.2 out of 10. Not a great score, but at least
better than I thought it would be, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, and I mean that. I'm glad some fans enjoy this installment. Every, I don't want everyone to dislike a movie because I dislike it. So 5.2 out of 10 on on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes, 15% on the critics, 43% on the audience. Yeah.
Okay, so close to half the people that saw this enjoyed it. Close
apparently.
Okay.
But
okay.
I don't know, man. That's 100,000 ratings too, 43%. Yeah, this is just a huge swing and a miss. It really truly is.
Yeah.
I don't even now another thing that I don't like, and we'll mention some things that I do like after here in a second, but I get why they did it. And they were trying to be a little different, probably. And it was in Wes Craven's original script, but they took it out. The child molestation aspects here. I don't think you need it.
I agree. I think some things are better left to subtext.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with that being subtextual and just kind of alluded to.
I feel
this is thrown in your face.
Yeah, I feel like they had a goal to make this version of Freddy Krueger a lot more darker, a lot more sinister, a lot more mean, little less jokey. And I get it. But that element that they thrown in, and it's not like it's just a little dash of it.
It's in your face.
It's right in your face for a good portion of the runtime in this movie. I just don't think it's necessary. I really don't.
It doesn't make it scary. It does make it cringy.
Makes it cringe, and
yeah.
I don't know if I want it. To me, it doesn't add any more fear to the character. For me. And it's funny. The first time I watched this, I thought one of the biggest issues I was going to have, and it's nothing against Jackie Earle Haley, but I thought one of the biggest issues I was going to have was it wasn't Robert Englund. It was just going to be strange to see someone else, playing the character. And then the first time I watched it, and a couple revisits since, Jackie Earle Haley is the least of this movie's problem.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
He's I like the voice he does.
Yeah. It's not bad.
It's not bad. I think I like his take on it. I do.
I'm not against it either. Yeah.
No, not at all. But I get they were trying to do his design like based off a more consistent, like the consistency of an actual burn victim. But it just looks off to me. It just does not. Yeah. I'm not going to say the makeup's bad. I don't think it's like bad makeup. I think it's maybe just wrong choice for a design, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe.
Like his nose looks kind of like strange, and his eyes look strange. I don't know. And I get it. They're going for a straight up burn victim, but I don't know, man. One other big complaint: this movie is not paced well.
No.
Holy God, bro.
I agree. Some of that pacing
brutal
is bad, and it feels even worse because it's littered with pretty bad dialogue.
Yes.
So when you finally get to somewhere, it's not even interesting because the dialogue isn't very good. All of that leads to just kind of a sluggish fucking walk through this movie.
It is. It's a sluggish walk, dude.
Yeah.
It is so sluggish. The character development in this is not good either.
It's really bad. It's really bad.
The original.
Our final girl doesn't get hardly any screen time in the first almost 30 minutes of this movie.
It's bizarre.
It's really weird. It's really strange.
It's very bizarre.
Strange choice.
It is a strange choice. And that's, I think all Nightmare fans would agree that the Nancy Thompson character from the original franchise, you really connected with her.
She's one of the greatest final girls in all of horror for a reason.
She is, bro.
And of course, Heather was amazing in that role. Now, I'm not going to say that this is Rooney's fault by any means. No, it's not. Because she's proven herself to be a fantastic actor.
She's not bad in this.
No, she's not. It's the delivery of and the presentation of her that's bad.
I don't really feel like I know her. Not at all.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, how can that be? How can you have the main final girl and then you're going to double down on it and name the character Nancy? It's Nancy Holbrook. It's not Thompson, but nonetheless, name her Nancy, and then not provide me some backstory, some characteristics of this character for me to invest in. Like, I don't even feel invested. Like, here's the thing. She's actually pretty good in this. All of them are. Like, that is the one thing with this movie. I have no issues with the cast and the actors in this whatsoever. Zero. It's just the material, the dialogue, and just the way the story is told from page to screen.
Yeah.
With the pacing and everything. Like, it's just not, for me, it's just not very good. It's not. You know me, this is a prime movie where you can exercise visual storytelling. We're talking about dreams, Brian.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a perfect movie where you can make visual storytelling so compelling and so, like, entertaining.
Yeah.
And there was not one moment in this where, dude, I think that when I see just about every movie, I couldn't think of one moment when I was watching where I went, wow, that's really good visual storytelling. Like, I didn't get any of that. And that's the lost opportunity because of the dream sequences.
Yeah. There's a couple of dream sequence things that I think are okay.
Yeah.
But nothing that really adds to the story.
No.
No. And we'll get to those. Let's go ahead and start trudging our way through this fucking thing. We open up we get a cold open. There's some things about this cold open that I do enjoy.
Yeah.
One of them is not a 40-year-old high school student, because Kellen Lutz looks so much older as he plays Dean in this. Dean Russell. He's our opening character.
Yeah.
And he's not. Kellen Lutz is a great looking man.
He is.
He's a great looking man,
handsome feller.
And he looks 35 years old at least compared to these people. Now I guess he's been up for 3 days, so that'll add to it. But he's our opening character, and he's sitting in Springwood Diner. We get some shots of him walking through the back trying to chase down a waitress that won't give him coffee. And he's, of course, woken up by an encounter with a knife finger wielding menace that we haven't been introduced to quite yet. Nancy wakes him up because she's the waitress. And this is where we meet Nancy, played by Rooney Mara. She wakes him up and basically tells him, if you keep falling asleep, they're going to fucking throw you out. But he's noticed, of course, he's been cut, because he defended himself when he got attacked by it was Freddy, obviously, but he hadn't been named yet. We get to meet some of our characters. We get to meet Katie Cassidy's Chris Fowles is her name.
Yeah.
We get to meet, who else do we get to meet? We get to meet Thomas Decker. He plays Jesse Braun. And we meet Nancy, and we also meet Kyle Gallner's Quentin Smith.
Yes.
Quentin, if you guys play Dead by Daylight, he's one of the survivors in Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, I'm so hard on. I call him Fuckboy Quentin.
Fuckboy Quentin. he looks all emo-y.
Yeah.
And he looks emo-y in the movie, which is fine. Kyle Gallner's a good actor. I like him.
He is. No, dude, great young cast in this. I can't say
great
enough.
Young cast. You're absolutely right.
I can't say it enough.
Lots of good-looking, talented.
Not the problem.
Like, Katie Cassidy's. I really like her in Arrow. I thought she's really good.
Yeah.
Things go super south. He's Dean's talking to Chris Fowles' character. or Katie Cassidy's character, Chris,
Sure.
excuse me. He's talking to her about his issues. He's having nightmares, can't sleep, typical stuff that you get from a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Sure.
And there's just some bad dialogue right here. Like she says, "Why?" She says dreams aren't real, and then he literally says, "Just like this, these dreams are real." Like, and it was really poor dialogue delivered kind of poorly, because it's like I just don't understand that choice. Like, if somebody says to you that your dreams aren't real, but you believe they are, wouldn't you say it like, these dreams are real? You know what I mean? But his delivery on that is just flat. It feels really, really emotionless. And
again, I don't want to throw too many stones. I don't want to point the blame at particular people, really, because I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. It's just this movie didn't end up how I had hoped. But I will say, I mean, as accomplished as Samuel Barry is as a music video director,
mm-hmm.
He was inexperienced when it came to film directing. He just was, and that, like, who knows how many takes they took on that.
Yeah,
line.
you have no idea, but
and who knows what he was trying to get out of him in that scene. Being the director, what he was trying to get out of the actor here. So, and I wasn't in the editing room when they were looking at all those takes and what they wanted to roll with. But again, I don't want to beat up, because the guy is a legend in the music video. He is. He's got the awards to prove it. Yeah, and his performance directing in this movie does not take away anything that he's ever accomplished in his career. He will forget more about directing a movie than I'll ever learn. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's true. Yeah. So, but with that being said, the pacing, some of the choices the actors make, it just feels like an inexperienced director directed this.
Yeah, it does. It
does.
And you nailed it. I mean, and you're right. This guy, I don't want to take anything away from what he's done either, of course, but it does. Unfortunately,
it's unfortunate.
Sign of inexperienced film direction.
It is,
because
it is.
That's just not. That's
Brian,
just all there is to it.
Brian, I'm not even a fan of a lot of choices made with shooting this movie. The way it looks,
I agree.
The way it looks, the filters,
which is crazy because he's a the music videos he's shot look amazing. I will say there are some hints in this movie of talent. Yeah, there really are.
Absolutely.
And some cool choices too that we'll get to. We're not going to beat this guy. I promise you we're not going to beat Sam Bear up.
No.
I respect the shit out of him. Looking at the fucking music videos
he's
shot,
insane.
He's done some fantastic work. He really has.
It's insanity.
There could be a podcast dedicated to the great things he's done, and you would have a lot of material to pull from.
Absolutely.
So let's move on. Dean falls back asleep and he kills himself. And now this, I actually really dig this kill a lot.
See,
I don't dig the weird choice of camera effect that they used on, like, because basically what happens is Freddy pops up in this poor dude's dream, and behind him, and he grabs like his hand, and Dean's holding a knife.
Yes,
and he makes Dean stab himself in the throat.
Yes,
and pull it all the way across.
And it's one side deep, bro.
It's savage looking. It really is. It
looks
great.
Cool. It looks cool.
I don't like the camera effect, like weird thing that they did when they had Freddy standing behind him and some of the shots. But overall, honestly, pretty fucking good kill.
It looks great.
Good kill to start the movie too.
It is. And when I first saw this cold open, because the title card comes up right after this cold open here. I was like, okay, all right, that was pretty cool. But I will say, there's parts of this cold open that just feel forced.
Mm-hmm.
and it just shows, man, whether that's a combination of dialogue, direction, it just feels very forced, parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, not a bad cold open. But sadly, this is kind of the peak of the movie.
You're right. It doesn't go it doesn't go uphill from here. It doesn't get better. It pretty much starts to fall apart right now, unfortunately.
Dude,
it's not good. We go to his funeral. It's pretty much right after this. We get no development of the friendship between Chris, Nancy, Quentin.
None.
Which I guess there isn't one. I don't know.
See, that's the other.
It's bizarre because in the original, obviously, all these people have pretty much been renamed. Like Quentin would be the Glenn character.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But I think Jesse was Jesse actually, and Chris is Chris is
yeah,
I think so. But yeah. Regardless, they're all friends. They're all friends in the original.
And you buy into it.
Seem like vague acquaintances.
Yeah, and it comes down to me. There's some major points and holes in this story that I just find, and this is one of them. Like, for them to say that none of these kids remember each other when they were kids,
that's bizarre.
Or they didn't hang out all these. So you're telling me from like age 4, 5, 6. They didn't hang out at all until they were like 17, 18?
Yeah, that's bizarre because
that doesn't make any
Springwood
sense.
is a fucking megapolis.
Let me ask.
It's portrayed to be a small town.
Right, exactly. And you grew up in a small town. I grew up in a small
town. I know
everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how in the hell from let's just take this. Age 6 to age 16, that's 10 years.
Yeah.
What, were they all homeschooled? Do they mention that in this movie?
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre.
They didn't see each other at school,
right?
At the playground, at the local YMCA, at wherever, ball games, little league.
None of these kids had extracurricular activities at all. None of them played at a playground.
What?
It's weird.
Now all of a sudden, when we pick up when this movie starts, they're all just friends again,
right?
Kinda, I guess, but like you said, you don't really know because there's no development, there's no backstory, there's no explanation of how close they truly really are. We're just you as the audience, we as the audience are just sitting there and having to assume through this whole fucking movie.
Yeah,
I'm assuming, I'm guessing. Like, dude, that's just bad story.
And that preschool,
it's just not a good story.
Didn't have a lot of kids in it.
No,
because it shows we get to the picture.
Right.
Well, let's get there.
Right.
We're at the funeral, and the reason we started talking about that is because at the funeral, Chris sees a picture of Dean as a little boy, and in that picture is a little girl that she recognizes as herself, but she says, I never met Dean till high school, and that's why it seems just so strange that they wouldn't have run into each other in this small town.
It's so bizarre.
Springwood is portrayed as a smaller town in these films, and in this film, it is.
Shout out though, they did have some continuity to Springwood. There's Ohio license plates throughout this entire movie, so I'll give them credit for that.
Yeah,
because Springwood's supposed to take place in Ohio.
But anywho, she questions her mom about this. Her mom is played by Connie Britton, who is another fantastic actor.
I know,
but
she is.
Yeah,
actually.
She's really good. And we got Clancy Brown in this motherfucker.
One of my favorite actors
Clancy
of all
Brown's
time.
awesome.
He's great.
So, good cast, man. This stuff's a good fucking cast.
It's the biggest. It's the biggest strength of the film, without a doubt.
So, Chris questions her mom about it. Mom is clearly lying to her. Like, she's looking through childhood photography, like her books, like photography books,
right?
And family pictures and shit, and trying to find like pictures. There's blatantly missing pictures and shit. Chris's mom is not Connie Britton. That's Nancy's mom. Chris's mom is played by Leah Mortensen. Chris's mom gets called away to business. I think is she a flight attendant? Yeah, that's what it looked like when she was wearing a flight attendant suit.
Yeah, she's 100% a flight attendant.
She had to fly to London.
Yes.
So she's left alone for the night, and she's having like little when she falls asleep, she's having like mini nightmares. And but her ex-boyfriend, which is Jesse Braun, played by Thomas Dekker, he shows up to keep her company the night. And then, of course, they decide that they don't want to stay awake, even though they're both having these horrible nightmares. Mm-hmm. So they fall asleep, and we get kind of the reshot version of Amanda Weiss's dream sequence.
Yeah.
And it's, of course, not even close to as good.
No,
unfortunately, it sucks, but it is. And
this looks more. See, I love the original one because even though the effect they used for the original one was a fucking pain in the ass, they had a rotating room set, essentially. Yeah. And the effect looked way better on this. I mean, it doesn't look. I don't think it looks terrible.
Yeah, I don't think this. I don't think this is bad. Actually, I think this is average.
It's not. No, exactly. It's fine. Okay. It's fine, but it looks more like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
It does.
Than a Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
You're right.
So, and I guess my thing is if you're gonna recreate all these moments from the original, I mean, I don't know, man. Like,
it makes the remake feel unnecessary when you do that. That's why. That's why the Psycho remake was so bad, because Gus Van Sant, who's a good filmmaker,
one of the goats,
was fantastic filmmaker,
one of the goats.
Yeah, he for some reason decided to literally do a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho.
Yeah,
that it makes no sense, and it doesn't.
I don't get it.
If you're gonna do that, there's just no reason to do that, and for them to completely reimagine every iconic sequence for the most part in the original film, there's no reason to do it because we've already got that. And bring us something different. And the only element they brought us that's drastically different is they just brought the child molestation to the front of the you know what I mean? That just, to me, doesn't add anything to the movie.
No, I'll just say it. This movie really has no point in existing.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It's sad too.
It is. It is. I don't like. People worked hard in this movie, dude.
Yeah, they did. They definitely did.
We'll
get to some good stuff. I promise, guys.
There are some good things about this movie.
Yeah, there are
a few, couple.
There's a couple,
one or two.
All right, so. We see the
maybe three
of we see the reimagining of Amanda Weiss's demise in form of Katie Cassidy's Chris Fowles. She's spinning around the room like she's in a fucking kung fu movie. And of course it culminates with her getting slashed really deep across the chest. It does look good.
It does.
And she drops, of course, and Jesse's seeing this whole thing and he's freaking out. He, of course, dips the fuck out, sets off the alarms. He finds Nancy's house, just kind of appears in her fucking bedroom. They have a very awkward conversation about, once again, it's just poor dialogue. It felt weird, didn't it? Didn't this conversation just feel fucking weird?
There's a lot of moments like this in this movie.
It feels out of nowhere. Everything feels out of fucking nowhere in this movie. In the original, it made sense for them. For them to have this conversation because they were established as friends.
Yes.
But like the only other time that Jesse, they had a very brief encounter at the diner because she was their waitress.
Yes.
Once again, not there in a friendship capacity. Then she runs into them at the funeral, just basically saying that she believes Chris. And then he just brushes her off as being kind of and just a vague acquaintance. This conversation feels weird.
No, tell me the story. Tell me the story. Show me the story.
Yes.
Don't let me sit there assuming and guessing of
too
what
many
is
assumptions.
Going.
Yeah, the viewer has to make too many assumptions when watching this film.
And it comes down. That's why and people, I've actually seen people on Twitter before ask, I don't get, and that's fine. And like, look, man, if people like this movie, like really all power to you. I think that's great. I do.
Yeah.
But to answer their questions and these questions that I've seen on Twitter, I've literally seen people tweet, why does the Nightmare get so much bad rap? Like the Nightmare remake. I enjoy it. And my question is because the story's a fucking mess.
It is. It's a bit of a mess.
The movie is a mess. It's just one giant mess that you're like you just said, dude. Just show me the fucking story.
Yeah.
Tell me it. Yeah,
it's and that just adds to what we've already mentioned, this sluggish feel of this movie, because we have to assume so many things,
Brian. And this is only a 95-minute runtime with credits. It's not like it's some hour and 58. It feels like 2 hours and 10-minute long movie.
It does. It feels long.
And that's the pacing. Long. That's the pacing and the storytelling. Because it's just neither or executed very well.
It's not good.
No.
All right.
But we promise we have some good
we promise we got some good stuff, Cal. Jesse gets arrested by the cops. A kind of entertaining sequence. I like the cops are like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Kind of funny.
I didn't do it. Shut up. It's kind of entertaining.
It is.
But he gets arrested. He gets thrown in the clink clink. Then he falls asleep and he's quickly dispatched by Freddy. Now, this is the most I feel like this is the most on-screen time we've had with Freddy so far.
Sure.
And this is probably the most talking that Freddy has done up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we really get to see what Jackie Earle Haley can bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's not bad.
It's not.
It's really, really not. He's a good actor.
Yeah, great
and
actor.
I do actually like what he brings to the table.
I do.
As Freddy.
I do as well.
I don't necessarily like what they're giving him to bring.
Yeah.
But I think he's genuinely trying and he's genuinely bringing his A game.
He is.
And I think enough of that shows up on screen for me to say that Jackie Earle Haley is definitely not the problem with this movie.
No.
He's honestly one of the stronger things in the movie.
He's one of the positives.
Exactly.
He really is. And like I said, when the first time I watched this, going into this, I was like, man, it's going to be so weird without Robert.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be
and it is. It is. Because he was in every fucking one.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Jason. Freddy became very quickly the focal point of the franchise. And Jason's, of course, the focal point of Friday the 13th, but Jason doesn't talk. Freddy's got so much character,
Yes.
In this sequence, there's of course it takes place in the boiler room, and all that shit, which has become pretty iconic. A pretty iconic sequence and scene in the Nightmare franchise.
Yes.
And it looks good. I like the look of the boiler room, the set design. It's fine.
Yeah, no, actually, good. I think the boiler room looks pretty cool in this.
Yeah,
it does.
But Jesse's kill's kind of cool too. Actually, I don't dislike it.
No,
he pops up behind him and literally just shoves his hand all the way through.
I guess that's one. If there is another strength in this movie, it is the kills are. I think the kills are pretty cool.
Yeah, the kills are pretty good. They really are pretty good in this movie.
Yeah, pretty decently concepted and cool ideas, and they look pretty good on screen for the most part. Yes.
Yeah. Now there's an after part of this kill that I find pretty strange.
What's that?
And it's because the reveal of Jesse's body falling to the floor in the cell is pretty cool. But that poor fucking cellmate, I didn't do it.
He's going away.
Poor guy,
sorry,
man.
Buddy.
He's
man.
Definitely going away.
You better get a good lawyer, bro, because you fucked. You ain't getting out, man.
I think that's pretty comical. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird because he clearly falls completely dead. Now I get what they're saying, because he's still dreaming.
Yes.
And in his dream, he's not. He's dying, and Freddy talks to him and says, "Did you know that the mind can stay awake for 10 minutes after the heart stops beating, or whatever?" I find that very strange that he wouldn't wake up after this a massive amount of pain and whatnot that just happened, that it wouldn't jar him awake and he wouldn't be dying while awake instead of dreaming. That's kind of strange feeling to me.
Yeah, for sure.
But I get where they were going with it. Quentin quickly notifies Nancy that Jesse's dead. And I guess Quentin found out because I think his dad's a cop. Clancy's a cop, right? It seems like he's a cop.
Yeah, he's kind of like Lieutenant Thompson in essence, I guess. Kind of. Yeah. Even though it's not Nancy's dad, it's this the other character's dad in this in this rendition. But
Nancy and Quentin basically become little detectives.
He's a doctor. He's a doctor.
Oh, he's a doctor? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Alan Smith is a doctor in there.
Or no, he's not. No, I'm an idiot. No, he's not. Never mind.
Okay.
I think you're right.
Nancy's mom is
a doctor. Yes.
Yeah. I do. I think Clancy Brown plays a cop in this movie.
Yes. But you're left to assume.
You're left to assume. Yeah.
Telling you, man, the storytelling in this is terrible.
Yeah, it's not good.
And I hate saying it. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's so unclear and so muddy and so just again,
it's rough. It's really rough.
Yeah.
So these two sleep-deprived detectives start to kind of investigate and try to find out what the connection is between Freddie and the kids that have been getting killed. They do quickly find out because Nancy actually has a dream where she envisions herself at Badham Preschool. She questions her mother about it. The two of them do. They question her mom. And her mom comes kind of clean and says, look, y'all went to the same preschool. This dude, Freddie, was the gardener / maintenance guy for this place and lived in the basement of a preschool, which is just fucking bizarre because that just screams lawsuit.
A little strange.
It's a pretty strange choice, but I do understand. I understand why they made this choice because it does kind of add to a pretty cool finale in a way. I guess it could be cool.
Well, but, is this where he actually? Yeah, that's where he actually lived, or is
they say he lives in the basement of the preschool, and that's fucking weird.
Yeah, very bizarre.
Yeah, but Freddie was a big fan of these kids. He always played with them, hide and seek, shit like that. We get some sequences of him playing with the kids and spinning them around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they said that the kids started telling stories about Freddie taking them to his secret cave, and they started finding little marks and cuts and stuff on him. And of course, the parents weren't down with that. And she actually says, well, he left town before, we could call the cops, so he just disappeared.
Yeah.
But of course, Nancy and Quentin, they don't believe her. They believe something else happened. And they quickly find out that the parents dispatched their own form of justice on him in the form of a dream sequence that Quentin has.
I like this scene, by the way.
At the library?
No.
Or just the Freddie origin sequence.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good too. It is. I don't dislike it. I really don't.
Of the parents, burning him alive, essentially.
Yeah. It's got a pretty cool shot. I kind of like the shot of him busting out the door and
pretty
running.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's CGI heavy, but it does look good.
Looks good. Looks great.
Quentin's dream sequence at the library, I kind of like too.
Looks really good. It does.
Yeah, they do a lot of really cool.
It looks endless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like the pillars of books bending behind him and shit like that.
Yeah,
and his dream sequence at the library is actually
very
good.
Cool. Very cool. I agree.
So
I agree. And then there's with the micro dreaming. What do they call it?
Yeah, they call them micro naps, and that is a thing. That is a thing.
Definitely.
And because after a certain amount of time of not sleeping, eventually your brain will just fall asleep.
Yeah.
And that is just, I learned about that when I was in the military because of where I worked. I worked in a hospital.
Sure.
That shit's real. If you don't go to sleep, your brain's going to start napping for you.
That's one cool element added here. And
it's wasted though.
It is.
They don't do enough with it.
Agreed.
They should have introduced that shit earlier and done a lot of cool shit with that.
Yeah, you're right.
And what they do after they introduce it is cool, though. Some of it's pretty fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because I like the sequences. I don't know if it was Samuel Bayer's, the director's choice, but I do like this choice of showing the shot of the dream world and then right back, like back and forth between the dream world and reality.
There's a really good sequence of that in a little bit that we'll get to
at the pharmacy.
Yes, that is a cool fucking sequence. I really like that a lot.
We'll get to it.
We're almost there essentially. We're kind of powering through this bitch. Okay, so Gwen just explained to them that where they are all connected. Okay?
Yes,
they don't believe that it's just that he just took off. And Quentin quickly has a dream where he sees Freddy's kind of origin. It happens while he's swimming at school. He's a swimmer.
Yes,
and he almost fucking drowns. He falls asleep while he's fucking swimming.
Hate to see it.
Almost drowns. He's kind of lucky.
A little bit.
Pretty fucking lucky, actually. They get back together and they're they go to present this to Quentin's dad, and he's like, what if he wasn't guilty? You know, so right here we kind of get a little spin on the movie where they're like, well, what if he wasn't guilty? You guys didn't even, you know, he didn't go to trial or anything. You know, he's like, what if you guys killed an innocent man? And so he thinks that Freddy's innocent, and it's a spin on the original movie. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. I'm very neutral on this. And it's because the presentation of it is super fucking bad. If he was an innocent man, do you think he would be doing all of these horrible things like killing the kids? I don't know. It just feels strange.
I respect the idea of throwing this little twist in this story and kind of bringing a new element to the story, and that being the original story. I mean, yeah, I don't like this. And I'll tell you why. Number one, first time I watched it, I went, there's no way they follow through with this. It was
right. It was a blatant red herring.
So obvious to me. So if that's the case, why even throw it in?
Well, I think the reason they throw it in is because of the reveal at the end. They wanted the reveal at the end to have more impact, but I think the presentation of it is so bad that the reveal at the end is so weak.
Here's my thing. If you're going to throw that twist in there, actually do it. See, I think
you're right. I think you're right. I think I
actually
agree
do
with
it.
You.
Actually do it. Now, granted, I think a lot of Nightmare fans and horror fans would have thought that undid everything the character originally was. However, I find it interesting, and I think it's a missed opportunity here.
I think I agree.
So I'm pretty much on this is how I feel about it. Either don't give me the bullshit, like don't try to trick me. Like that's the thing. I first time I saw it, Brian, I went, oh, they're just trying to trick us. This is bullshit. Right. And I don't like when movies do that. It's almost, I give it to the equivalent of the beginning of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, where they get that awesome cold open, and then Rob Zombie's like, "Fuck you, just a joke, just you know, blah blah blah." And that's how this kind of felt the first time I watched it, because I knew they weren't going to follow through with it. Now, if they would have followed through with it, live watching it for the first time, I would have been shocked, I would have been intrigued, and I would have found it interesting.
Yeah.
Whether I liked it or not, all three of those things I would have had all three of those feelings. It
would have definitely made for a completely different experience.
Yes.
So I think I got to agree with you. Yeah. I think that if they were to present this, and where you said, I think you when you mentioned that some Nightmare fans would have said that undoes everything, I think that's okay at this level because it's a
remake. It's a remake. Correct. It's a different vision and a different retelling of the story and character.
Right.
So pretty much my stance on this plot point, because at the end of the day, this plot point doesn't really mean shit. Quentin just is wrong for a few minutes.
He's wrong for about 10 minutes in the movie or some shit.
Yeah, that Freddy may be innocent.
Yeah,
you killed an innocent man. Now, if they would have went that route, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Either don't even have this in that plot point in at all, because at the end of the day, it has no relevance really anyway.
It forces them to continue to research is all it does. But my issue is I feel like the presentation of this plot point is just weak. It's not done very well.
It's not at the end of the day, it's not something that's very important in the movie anyway, because it ends up not being true, and they don't even. So I feel like it's either leave it out altogether, or if you're going to put that in there, like me, and I'm sure a lot of other people when they first watched it said, "Oh, there's no way they're going to go that route." And then if they did,
and they don't.
But what if they did? So,
if they did, we would be having a completely different conversation.
Absolutely.
And probably, I think I would have respected that choice. Honestly, I think I would have. Would I have liked it? Maybe not necessarily, but we don't know because we didn't get that.
The idea that Freddy was a broken, scorned, innocent man, and his revenge is because of that. See, I could buy into that. That,
to me, makes him a more horrifying figure.
Absolutely.
That takes him to like Candyman level.
Yes.
Because that's a similar situation.
Yes.
And
Candyman's
fucking
good turned
horrifying.
bad. Good turned bad because of what people did to him.
Yeah. Fuck, I kind of wish we'd have got that movie.
That's what this movie should have been. That's the thing. I would have never thought of that if they didn't throw this little plot point in here that Freddy could be innocent. Why they decided they should have ran
missed opportunity, bro.
They should have just ran with it. You want to make it your own? There you go.
Yeah, that's
at the end of the day, this little plot point, it really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. So it's just in there. It's in there to put it in the back of your head to think maybe it could be true.
Yeah.
But I think anyone that has ever watched this franchise knew where they were going with that. And if they would have done the opposite, I think people would have been flabbergasted and jaws on the floor. I think if you would have told me this whole time in this new version of Freddy, this new version of this film universe, that Freddy Krueger was originally actually an innocent man, and these parents, these vigilante parents, killed him when he was actually innocent, that is fucking interesting.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? It actually makes even more sense of why Freddy is doing what he's doing now.
Yeah. It was so obvious that it was a red herring, though. You're right, because we had already had several sequences of Freddy being so incredibly creepy and saying such
and perverted.
Yeah, a perverted, disgusting. Well, not very, very heavily creepy bad toucher,
cringy creepiness. Yeah, cringy creepiness.
We'd already, especially when he was talking to Nancy, because he'd already said to Nancy, I believe, at this point, like, "Oh, you're my favorite," shit like that. And like, dude, like that's like super fucking creepy.
Yeah,
and he'd already done shit like that before we even got to this plot point, which is why it was presented so badly. Dude, it just fell apart.
I'm glad you kind of like that idea of the origin.
I like the idea of them doing that. They just presented it so bad,
and they didn't run with it.
No, they didn't.
They didn't. They just. Oh, sorry, just joking.
Fuck, that's a missed opportunity, man. Holy
Would've
shit,
been cool.
we got a completely different movie.
It would have added so many more layers to one of the greatest horror characters in the history of cinema, and Freddy Krueger. It would have added some really, and again, this is a reboot. This is a remake. You can do that.
Yeah,
would I have liked them to do that in parts 5, 6, 7 of the original canon franchise? No, there's no need to. Yeah. But if you were going to do something like that, you would do that in a remake or a reboot. And I agree with you. It's a missed opportunity here.
Nancy and Quentin continue their little investigation. They're trying to. At this point, they're trying to find the preschool. They do the research. They find out that the preschool is closed down a long time ago. Nancy gets attacked in a dream sequence and ends up. This is a really awesome sequence, so I don't want to gloss over this because this leads them to the pharmacy. He's trying to get a refill on his medication so he can stay awake.
Love this scene.
And this sequence is super cool.
Looks good. It's lit well.
Yeah, it's lit well. Albeit the lead up to it is a little bizarre because she's sitting in the car and she burns herself with the cigarette lighter and shit.
Yeah.
But it does nothing. Like, it doesn't even keep her awake for a second. So I feel like that shot was pointless of her even trying to burn herself with a cigarette lighter. That just didn't make any sense to me anymore. So she gets out and she starts to go into the pharmacy to try and get Quentin. And this is a really good sequence. She's falling asleep. Cool. She's getting attacked by Freddy, and he's like smacking stuff off the shelves and shit.
Yeah, and I love how they're flashing back between
they're
the boiler room.
The worlds together.
Yes, it looks great.
It really does.
It feels great. Like that, to me, this is one of the best sequences in the movie. This is one of the best dream sequences in the movie for me. Yeah, when I said that the beginning was probably my favorite, that's probably not true. This is my favorite.
Yeah,
it's just so cool to see scraping his finger claws on the boiler room, hitting the pipes in the boiler room. Then it cuts to the real world, and there's like shit flying off the shelves. And it looks super cool. It's
done
cool
really
idea.
well.
It is. It's executed quite well. It is.
She gets cut pretty bad at this sequence, but she also yanks a piece of his sweater. That's where we find that she can pull him into the real world.
Yes.
Once again, a play from the original.
Yeah, because Nancy in the original takes his hat out.
Yeah, is it his hat? Yeah, I think you're right.
It is his hat. Yeah. Well, because she's at the hospital in the original, and they're doing tests on her.
That's right.
And she pulls it out from underneath her blanket in the hospital.
That's right. So takes her to the hospital. Quentin takes her to the hospital because she's cut pretty fucking bad. He steals some a couple EpiPens, I believe, and uses those to stay awake. They quickly dip out of the hospital. She starts having bad dreams again, and they decide to take off, and they have a pretty awkward conversation on the way there. Once again, it's pretty bad dialogue. What's your favorite color?
Dude, this movie, and again, I'm not trying to beat up on the writers. I'm not, but gosh, you're not wrong, dude.
It's not good. It's just not good dialogue, man.
It's very subpar dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hate beating up on. You know me. I'm the same way. I don't want to. Like, if this was written by Wesley Strick and Eric Heisner.
Yeah,
they are both really comic book writer. Well, Eric Heisner is particularly a comic book writer, but he got a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination, Academy Award in 2016.
For what?
For Arrival. He wrote Arrival.
Oh, that right on. Good for him.
Great movie.
Great film. Good for him.
So I mean, I don't know necessarily what went wrong.
It's hard to say because there's usually multiple people in the writing room. Then there's rewrites, and then this and that. It's always who knows. But
Wesley Strick wrote Cape Fear and Arachnophobia too. So I mean,
so it's not like these are like poor screenwriters by any sense of the word. Just for whatever reason, dude, it could have been. See, that's why I hate. I wish writing credits were more clear.
Yeah,
I don't see the harm in saying giving them a writer credit, then parentheses rewrites. Like,
right, yeah, something like that.
Like
a little clarity would be nice.
Because at the end of the day, I guess it doesn't truly matter. But again, no one sets out to make a subpar movie. No one sets out to write a subpar movie. Sometimes it just happens. Even some of the greatest filmmakers in the history of mankind. I mean, John Carpenter did Ghost of Mars, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
It can happen. You know,
Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
What's the irony here? Those are two of the very few studio films that John's actually done.
Yeah.
Everything else has been mostly independent from him.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting. Yeah.
Well, that tells me John had less power on those movies. That's what it is.
You're probably right. Yeah. You're probably 100%. Right.
All
right, so they're on the way there. We get a pretty decent little jump scare of Freddy just kind of showing up in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
and they wreck the car, but they continue on foot, and they do make it to the preschool.
Yes,
and this is where Quentin is proved wrong. They very quickly find the cave that these people couldn't find, which is kind of strange. Once again, they very quickly find, these grown ass adults, cops couldn't find this hidden lair in this fucking place, but these two sleep deprived teens, not even running at close to 100%, are able to Forrest Gump their way to finding this fucking
Look, man,
cave.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, and this is actually something that I never complain about. When have you ever heard me complain about plot holes in a movie?
Not a lot. Like
very
rarely. I don't even remember. I can't even remember
exactly, because it's not a thing I like to do.
But this is just so blatant.
It is.
Like, did you even find the cave? And they're like, no. These fucking kids that have been up for fucking 3 days roll in there and they're just like, there it is.
Man.
Come on, man. Like it is. It's pretty fucking weak. Because once again, this just fuels that the presentation of this potential red herring, herring sequence, it's just done poorly. It's done very super poorly. It's never believable that he's innocent. Not one time through this movie. So they find it and then quickly find the photos of Nancy, and Quentin kind of breaks down, and it's very much revealed that, you know, he was super, super nasty pedophile and a bad toucher and all that nasty shit. And this is the moment of Freddy. This movie officially becomes cringy completely at this point. Like, it's just not even.
Oh yeah, Freddy.
Honestly, the rest of this movie is not even really fun to watch. I mean, we do get a pretty decent kill at the end. Mm-hmm. But the final confrontation between Nancy, Quentin, and Freddy. At this point, I'm just like, ugh. You know, they decide she's going to fall asleep and bring him into the real world. Quentin quickly falls asleep, probably before she does. He gets attacked. He gets attacked by Freddy. He gets stabbed or struck pretty bad in his dream sequence, and he's almost fucking dying, really.
Right.
But she does find him, and of course, you know, they have this really nasty, cringy confrontation where she's like wearing the little girl's dress and shit, and he's like, you know, a lot of the lines are reproduced. I'm your boyfriend now.
Your mouth says no, but your body says yes.
Really cringy, not super scary. Really,
see,
I wanted a shower after this movie.
Yes.
You know, I just wanted to wash myself clean of the whole experience from this point on.
Like, and like I said, the Wes Craven's original script, Freddy was a pedophile.
Yeah,
and it makes sense because
it does.
I mean, like, that a guy would just want to murder kids. I would think there would be some type of, you know, a lot of serial killers. There's some type of sexual motivation there.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes sense. And, you know, it probably even makes more sense than him just being a straight-on child murderer.
Right.
But the first one in the entire franchise worked without it. Without those elements.
That's a big part of probably why it did.
Yes.
It's okay to leave things to subtext.
Yes.
Especially when they're just things of that nature. I mean, come on.
Yes.
That's fucking cringy, dude.
It's terrible.
Fucking nasty. So to bring that to the surface in such a boisterous way, it was something that was already working against the film anyway.
And it has nothing to do. It doesn't have anything to do with Jackie Earle Haley's like line delivery or or his choices, because actually they're pretty good.
They're pretty good. He's a good actor. He's a good actor.
They're pretty fucking good. So, you know, I don't know, man. I just don't feel it was needed. I feel like if you wanted to make something different, I get it. But really, you're not doing anything different because this wasn't the original script anyway.
No.
You know, like, it was taken out of the first movie.
Yeah.
To me, if you want to do something different, go with the idea you had, but you just didn't follow through with it.
Yeah, make him innocent. Fuck it.
Dude, that would have been fucking wild.
I think that could have been fucking rad.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, let's finish this this thing up. I almost called it something. But they do. She finally pulls him out. We get the how's that for a wet dream sequence. I like the replication of that. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
when she's falling into the floor and it's all gooey. Because I like the lead to where she completely sinks and then busts through the ceiling. And falls in. I think that looks pretty good, actually.
It's not bad.
But she does. Quentin finally wakes her up via EpiPen right into the fucking chest. And they wake up and she's got Freddy. She's pulled him out of the dream sequence. They do a little bit of battle. Freddy very quickly fucks Quentin up.
Okay.
What's up?
This for continuity reasons, this made no sense to me either.
Which part?
Zero. We're in the real world right now.
Right.
Freddy's in the real world. He's powerless in the real world.
But he's yeeting Quentin across. I noticed that too. I was like, isn't he like kind of normalish now? Like supposed to be normal?
Well, yeah. I mean, she stabs him. He feels pain. He shouldn't have. Dude, in the real world, Freddy does not have powers. That's the whole point of Freddy Krueger.
Right.
In the dream world is where he has his powers.
Yeah.
Okay. You're in my world now, bitch. Well, now you're in our world, and he's still fucking yeeting motherfuckers.
Yeah, he yeets Quentin across the room.
Throws him 10 feet, 5 feet in the air, hard as fuck with so much velocity.
I noticed that too. I was like, I don't like that.
Why is that in there?
I mean, he didn't need to be. They didn't need to make him a pussy. You know what I mean? Like they didn't need to make him a wimp, but he did that. He still had super strength and everything.
No,
so
that's my whole point. That's my whole point. It's super. It's non-human strength that he's displaying here. And when he's in the real world, he's human, man. He's essentially human. So
because they kill him. I mean, sort of. I guess because
she's stabbing him. He's going ow.
Yeah, I know he's screaming and everything. Yeah, he's hurting,
but he's still eating motherfuckers. I guess.
Well, she gets a pretty good slash.
That's just bad, dude. I'm sorry. That's bad. That's bad. That shouldn't be in there. It's bad.
No, it shouldn't be in there at all. But she does. She gets a good slash in on his throat. Pretty good shot of his throat, cutting open and everything. Yeah, the effects are pretty good there. And then he falls down. They burn the school down, kind of like they start to burn the school, but then the fire department is there very quickly putting it out. Barely looks like it's burned. We hear the fire. We hear guys say there's no sign of a body at all.
Right.
So, and then of course, the movie ends very similarly to the first one in regards to the final jump scare. I kind of like this shot of Freddy in the mirror because she bends over and when she stands back up, Freddy's in the mirror, and then he stabs back through her head. And you see like all four of those knives come out through her face in various spots, and then he pulls her in through the mirror. I don't hate it. No. It's very CGI, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look terrible.
No. Not all the CGI in here is bad. I don't want to sound like, but there is some bad.
The worst is the fucking coming through the walls. Oh, that's fucking awful.
Yeah.
But they do that. I mean, okay, obviously that's the end of the movie, guys. The number of recreated things in this just makes you scream.
Yeah, we glossed over the bathtub scene.
The bathtub sequence, that was a much bigger sequence in the original. This is just a fucking maybe 2-minute sequence of her in the tub. The claw pops up and goes away, and then she's out of the fucking tub.
Yeah.
But then we do get a homage to weird fucking science in this movie. Because it's snowing in her room, goddammit.
It is. It is.
A line delivered beautifully by the late, great Bill Paxton in Weird Science that should have been screamed in this. Because she walks into her room and it's fucking snow. You realize it's snowing in my room, goddammit? That's the first thing I thought when she walked into her room is I thought fucking Bill Paxton in Weird Science. But that's Nightmare on Elm Street, Sam Bayer's 2010 remake, y'all, and it's not good.
It's not, sadly.
There's like we said, we tried to highlight some of the good stuff in it.
Yeah, the pharmacy scene is that's
so
great,
good, man. That's
so
a fucking
good.
Awesome sequence. Hell
so
yeah,
good, so good.
It's the best sequence in the movie.
Agreed.
It is. that opening kill is savage.
Yep.
When he kills Kellen Lutz's character Dean.
Looks
great shot. It's a good, deep, gruesome fucking kill. And oh man,
yeah, he essentially carves off his neck opposed to slices.
It's because the knife goes all the way into the fucking handle, and he just all the way across. It's really good
yeah
shot.
It's I don't know, man. Like,
we also didn't get enough Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown's so good.
We for sure. More Clancy Brown for sure. Yeah, I feel like I have no problem with classics like A Nightmare on Elm Street or Texas Chainsaw or whatever being remade. If you want to remake them, good, fine. I'll watch them. But
so the thing about the Chainsaw remake that works so well is it's a very much its own entity.
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely paid homage to the original in a lot of ways, but they even went so far as to change the name of the family, you know?
Yeah, right.
From the Sawyers to the Hewitts, you know,
and R. Lee Ermey's absolutely fabulous.
Ermey's so good in that movie. Ridiculous. He really is
ridiculous.
But even the Friday reboot, they did their own thing, you know. They went right into it being Jason. So, you know, we got a quick backstory of his mom getting whacked, and yeah, I mean they did their own shit with those two.
Yeah,
it's so heavily relies on classic shots, sequences. They didn't introduce enough of their own ideas into this movie to make it stand on its own.
Yeah. And it's just, I think it's, you know, it's just a case of subpar direction, subpar writing, and you know, and all the writers and the director of this, they're talented people. I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to say they're not talented, but for whatever reason on this movie, it's just, from my very humbled opinion, and a lot of critics and horror fans agree with me, that it is subpar. The dialogue is subpar. The direction is subpar. The pacing's
God awful. The pacing's the worst thing about the movie, really.
I agree. This movie has no flow to it.
None.
There's no flow whatsoever.
Everything feels like a contained sequence, just sitting next to a contained sequence to next one after another.
Yes, and the fact that you're doing a movie that relies heavily so much on dream sequences that you don't have some really, really great forms of visual storytelling in this. It's there's nothing really about this movie that pops for me, that goes, wow, that was, you know, that's a really good element they nailed on this film. Sadly, no.
Yeah.
Like I want to, but I just, you know, I just don't think this is, you know, some people have misses, man. Like,
and we promise y'all, we wanted to like this movie. I know you did. I know you wanted to like this movie. The original's your favorite horror film. Trust me, y'all. I wanted to love this movie so much. But at the end of the day, it just has no reason to exist.
It sadly
really doesn't. It's unfortunate.
It doesn't for me. And again, if there's people out there that this film does add things to the franchise for them. See, to me, this movie, this installment adds nothing, doesn't add anything to the franchise. It doesn't. It's one that honestly, I think a lot of fans have just forgotten and don't revisit, right? Because they know it's not very good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would rather watch, people are going to laugh, but I'd rather watch Freddy's Dead than this any day of the week.
At the end of the day, all of those other Nightmare movies, whether they be good, bad, or whatever, they're all very entertaining.
Yeah,
they really, really are.
I'm not entertained by this.
No.
For the most part,
I'm bored a lot. Can you imagine watching a Nightmare on Elm Street movie and being bored?
Right, exactly.
Just
I'll just watch the pharmacy sequence over and over again. Really, I mean, it's fucking good. And yeah, hey, if you love the movie, man, we're happy. Trust me. I absolutely glad that you love this movie. I'm glad that something about this movie really, really connected with you and resonated. I'm glad you enjoy it. I would never make fun of anybody for liking this movie because I'm just not that kind of guy.
No.
But yeah, it's just for me. It's not. Let's go ahead and grade it. And do you want to go first? I mean, sure. I can imagine it's not going to be very high.
Yeah. There's really, and I feel bad saying this, but there isn't much from a technical level that really wows me with this movie.
Right.
I think everything is pretty much, for the most part, outside of a couple really, really cool sequences. For the most part, from a technical aspect, it's very average to below average, everything across the board.
Yeah, the editing's pretty bad in it too.
Yeah, there's just so much. There's so much. Nothing really resonates with me that pops. You know, like even like I can't think of anything on the top of my head, but you know me, man. I noticed great sound editing or visual storytelling or great shots, great cinematography, good direction, and I just none of that pops for me with this movie.
Right,
you've got a good cast. That's the best thing I can say about it, and at the end of the day, the cast can only do so much with the material.
Yeah, you're right.
And the direction and the product, you know, the story and everything. So yeah, and at the end of the day, I see this movie has no purpose to even exist. It doesn't add anything to such a great franchise. It doesn't add a thing for me. Yeah, this is one of the lower grades I've given in a while. This is a huge missed opportunity, huge missed chance to reinvent a franchise and keep it going. I'm going to give this 1.5 out of 4 stakes to the heart.
You're nicer than I am.
There's some cool things. The cast, Jackie Earle Haley. There's some cool sequences, but other than that, 1.5 out of 4. It deserves that. I feel, you know, at the end of the day, there were some talented people working on this movie, but sometimes it just
unfortunately the talent doesn't come through hardly at all.
No, and then and it makes me sad. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame because there really are. Samuel Behr is a very, very extremely talented individual.
Yeah.
Really,
I'd like to see him give another go at filmmaking.
I really would too. And you know what? I hope he wants. I hope if he does that he really wants to, and I hope it goes well.
Yeah, he's only 56. He's still got some time.
Yeah,
you know, he's still.
And I'll tell you what, if he does, I will watch his movie. I will too, and I'm rooting for the guy because you know I'm sure this stung. No one likes to be rejected or have their, you know, he was excited. I can just imagine how. I'm going to assume, I wonder if he's like a huge fan of the franchise because he is an interesting choice. You know, he was a very accomplished music video director, but who had never directed a feature film. So I'm curious. I'm curious what he learned from this experience, and I'm curious. But I'll tell you this, the fact he hadn't directed a film before this and he hasn't directed a film since, maybe that's not where his passion is. Maybe it
might not be. You're right.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know the man, but I wish him nothing but the best. And if he ever does direct another film, fuck yeah, I'll watch it. And I'm rooting for him.
Same. Yeah, I'm going to give my grade. I'm just going to slide right underneath you. I'm giving this 1.
Yeah.
1 out of 4 stakes. I'm going to put that stake right through Kellen Lutz's 35-year-old high school heart. Yeah, it's huge miss. They had the opportunity to completely reinvent the franchise, and based on the talent that they actually had, and you know, in front of the cameras, and some of the talent behind, I think that's what attributes to such a low score for me, because to have that kind of talent and squander it, to me, is a tragedy. It really, really is, because there were some talented people working on this movie. There really was. But yeah, it's probably inexperience is what led to that.
Yeah.
And it sucks because maybe giving one of the most iconic horror franchises to a brand new filmmaker wasn't the smartest thing to do. But at the end of the day, you got to start somewhere. Wes Craven started with. I mean, this was pretty young in his career.
Yeah,
the original Nightmare was pretty young in his career. So
yeah, but I mean, he had a lot of. I mean, he had done
Last House and The
Hills Have Eyes, and a handful of others.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it's you can't. I will say Samuel Bear was a interesting choice.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it was the wrong choice.
Doesn't mean that, no.
No, but I mean, yeah, he was an interesting choice, and obviously, I'm going to assume I don't know who made that. Michael Bay. I don't know who legitimately made the choice for director here, but at the end of the day, it just for a lot of reasons.
It was Michael Bay.
Yeah.
He advocated heavily for Bear because he had the ability to capture the kind of seductive and unsettling imagery that would make Nightmare feel like a fresh, visually arresting movie-going experience.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, looking at some music videos that he made, I can see where Michael Bay was coming from, actually.
Yeah,
honestly.
no. And look, it's like you said, someone has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, David Fincher was predominantly a music video director, and then he did Alien 3. Didn't go that well, and then he made.
Thankfully, he was given another chance. I think Fight Club was his next.
Seven.
Okay, yeah, 7. Club. Yeah, that's right.
I think 7 was his next film. But nevertheless, he went on to be one of the
greatest
best
filmmakers of my generation.
Yeah, for sure, one of the best directors since the '90s. So, it's not the end all be all when you hire someone that's maybe not be super experienced and doesn't have a lot of stuff under their belt, but it is what it is. What do you expect from this franchise moving forward, man?
Well, we're getting I think we're getting a reboot. I think that's what I'm assuming is going to happen, but I'd be up for a sequel. I think Robert's got one more in him.
He's confirmed he could do one more.
Yeah, I think he's got one more in him. I really do.
He's confirmed this.
Yeah. So, but what?
He hasn't confirmed it's getting done. He's confirmed that he'd be up for for one more round.
I do know that they're looking at some people because they think the rights are back in the Craven estate, if memory serves me correctly.
Yes. They're in the West Craven estate.
So,
correct.
I got faith that they're gonna do as much as they can to protect the franchise moving forward from now on. I would love to see it go to Blumhouse. I know some people think that I've heard some people call Jason Blum a hack. I don't buy that shit at all. I think that Jason Blum
is ridiculous.
It's fucking ridiculous. I think that's crazy.
Well, dude, they make so many movies. Not everyone's going to be
everyone's going to be a hit, man. Halloween 2018 is great. Maybe Fantasy Island wasn't so good. Invisible Man was great. Maybe the Black Christmas reboot wasn't so good. Sometimes it's 50. But you know what? They've had way more hits than misses.
Oh, absolutely.
They're
forwarding the genre, dude.
Yeah, I agree that I think that they're moving the horror genre forward. They're progressing it.
Yeah.
They're keeping it from getting stale because let's face it, in the early 90s, it got stale.
Yep.
And I don't think they want that to happen anymore. And what I do like what Jason Blum does is he lets these filmmakers come in and he lets them put what they want. He lets them get their vision out there. He doesn't really bother them much. He lets them come in and make the movie they want to make. And that I respect. I respect that. Like I said, it doesn't always necessarily work out. But at the end of the day, the director, the filmmakers get to get their vision realized with very little studio interference and shit like that.
I'll tell you who would be my number one choice as director.
I know it's going to be Mike Flanagan.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, because I would love to see that.
His take on a Nightmare movie, there's no way it's not good. There is zero. With his style of visual storytelling and his style of directing, I would just be in awe and anticipation waiting to see what these dream sequences look like that he comes up with.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
They would be visually amazing on screen. There is no doubt in my mind.
I think him and not to take any credit away from any of the modern horror filmmakers, but I just really feel like Mike Flanagan and maybe Jordan Peele are the top two horror filmmakers out right now. Yep. No discredit whatsoever to James Wan.
Or Lee
Whannell.
Yeah,
I mean, Mike Doherty.
I'd love to see
those guys are fantastic filmmakers.
I'd love to see a Nightmare take from all those guys.
Oh, hell yeah. Fuck it. Every one of them make one, release them every 2 months for a year.
When I saw the director's cut of Dr. Sleep, that was the first thing I thought, dude, was, man, Flanagan, I would love to see him do a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Yeah,
my
so
goodness.
Those telepathy, oh God, that's a fucking masterpiece, I tell you. Some people don't call it a horror movie. I'm not sure if it's a horror movie or not, but it definitely is of a genre. But it is a fantastic film. It's a great movie. So
no, that would be mine. And honestly, I think a prequel origin TV series could work too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that could work for this unit. Because here's the thing: I've always wondered. I'd like to go back and see when he was human doing all his crimes.
Yeah, that's what I wanted the Nightmare series to be when I was younger. Freddy's Nightmares. But we did get a little bit of that, I believe, in the first episode. But not
where he's at trial and shit.
Yeah.
Well, there's some good fan films on YouTube. It's like a fan film series. I think it's called gosh, I can't remember the name of it now. Something Kruger's in the title though.
Mm-hmm.
They're not bad. They're like little short films of the origin.
Huh.
They're not bad.
I'll have to check those out.
I think Blinky is the name of the YouTube channel. Blinky, I think.
Okay.
That is it. I think it's called Kruger Tales from Elm Street or some shit like that.
Okay.
But but I this is my favorite movie of all time, not this one. The original.
I know. We know.
Yeah, the original. So I of course. I'd love to see more Freddy Krueger. I'm not opposed to it.
No.
I just hope they learn, I just hope, let's not redo what we did with this 2010 installment, please. That's all I ask. I'm pretty simple.
Yeah.
I'm not. Homework, again, coming this Wednesday, we are going to have our little topic discussion on gatekeeping and horror. We were joined by Melissa Hannon, better known as Horror Geek Mel from Horror Geek Life. And then next Monday, we are going to be, for homework for next week, is the Revenge of the Remakes. We're doing Amityville Horrors up next for Revenge of the Remakes.
Yeah, we're going to have our boy Bailey from the We Came From Beneath the Sea podcast, which is also a podcast on the expansive Slash and Cast podcast network. If you guys haven't, download the Slash and Cast app from the Google Play Store. That is your one-stop location for all of the Slash and Cast podcast episodes.
Absolutely.
And there's 24, I want to say 23, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And it's just literally one app. Boom, you go to, and you can listen to every single episode from all of the podcasts on that network. And it's fantastic. It's super easy to navigate. I got it on my phone. It's one of the ones I open the most lately these days. But head over to your Google Play Store. I think it's in the iPhone store as well. But it's definitely on the Google Play Store. Slash and Cast podcast app. That's all I got to say. I wanted to throw that out there to let everybody know about the app. Let us know. Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. Let us know what you guys think of the Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010. If you like it, hit us up with your reasons why you like it. We promise we'll never make fun of you, and we'll respect the shit out of your opinions.
Absolutely not. I'm glad some people like this movie. I do.
Yeah, I'm glad people like it. I really am. I really am. Not for me, but I'm really glad that people like it.
Absolutely.
You got anything you want to add before we slide out of here, buddy?
No, appreciate all the continued support, man. All the shout outs on Twitter and the Apple Podcast reviews. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
If you are enjoying the podcast, you are listening on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. It definitely helps the podcast. Another way you can help the podcast is, honestly, if you have friends or family members that are
horror buffs like yourself, because I'm going to assume if you're listening to this, you're probably most likely a horror fan. Share our podcast with them. If you think they'd enjoy it, if you enjoy it, maybe they enjoy it. So it's a good way to help us, help us out, getting the podcast out there. So we appreciate you guys as always. Seriously, it means the world to us, to our listenership.
Absolutely.
You guys make this a lot easier for us to do. And
for sure. I couldn't have said it better myself, buddy. So I'm not going to. With all that being said, love you guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode.